Admiral Kang Dae-ho stood in the command center of the orbital station above Earth. The large screens around him showed star maps filled with red markers. Each red dot meant an enemy ship. There were many red dots. The message from the Galactic Council had arrived 3 hours ago. Kang read it again on his tablet. The words made him angry, but his face stayed calm. Years of military training had taught him to control his feelings. "Admiral," said Major Kim So-young as she walked up to him. She carried a thick folder of papers. "The intelligence reports are ready." Kang took the folder and opened it. Inside were photos of alien ships and detailed notes about enemy movements. The Zilorian Empire had been watching human colonies for months. They thought they knew everything about human military power. "What do they think of us?" Kang asked. Kim flipped to a page filled with alien writing. A computer had translated it into human language. "They call us brave but simple fighters. They say we are good at small battles but cannot handle large wars." Kang almost smiled. "Almost. They think we just charge forward without thinking." "Yes, sir. Their records show that human soldiers fight hard but do not follow complex plans. They believe we rely too much on individual heroes." The Admiral walked to the main display screen. It showed the 3 colony worlds that the Xylorians wanted humans to give up. These worlds had millions of people living on them. Families, children, workers, farmers, all human citizens who trusted their military to protect them. "Sir," came another voice. Lieutenant Colonel Park Ji-woo entered the command center. She looked tired but alert. Her uniform was perfectly clean despite working for 18 hours straight. "The 3rd Regiment is ready for deployment." Park had been studying the Xylorian military for 2 years. She knew their tactics, their weapons, and their weaknesses. More importantly, she knew they did not understand human military thinking at all. "What do you think of their ultimatum?" Kang asked her. Park looked at the star map. "They expect us to panic. They think we will either surrender immediately or attack them in anger. Both choices would make their victory easy. And what will we actually do?" "Neither, sir." Captain Lee Hyun-sik joined the group. His Special Forces unit had been preparing for this day for months. Lee was quiet and careful. His men called him Ghost because he could appear and disappear without anyone noticing. "The infiltration teams are in position," Lee reported. "We have people watching all their major supply routes." Kim opened another section of her folder. "The Xylorians have never fought a professional army before. Most species in the galaxy fight like wild animals when they are scared. They attack in groups without real planning." Kang nodded. This was the key point. The galaxy had seen humans fight before, but only in small conflicts. Pirates attacking merchant ships, border disputes with minor alien groups. These fights had been short and messy. Human soldiers had fought bravely, but the battles looked chaotic from the outside. The aliens had no idea what human military doctrine really meant. "Show me their fleet positions," Kang ordered. The main screen changed to show space around the contested worlds. Huge Xylorian ships moved in standard formations. Each ship was 3 times larger than the biggest human vessel. Their energy shields could stop any known weapon in the galaxy. "They are confident," Park observed. "Look at their spacing. They are not worried about coordinated attacks." "Why should they be?" Kim said. "No one has ever managed a coordinated attack against them. Most species just throw their ships forward and hope for the best." Lee pointed at several spots on the display. "They have weak points, but only if someone can attack multiple targets at exactly the same time." "Can it be done?" Kang asked. "With proper planning, yes, sir." This was the difference the aliens did not understand. Humans had spent centuries learning how to fight wars professionally. Not just brave soldiers charging into battle, but entire armies working together like pieces of a giant machine. The door opened again. Colonel Yoon Tae-jun walked in carrying engineering reports. "The space platforms are ready, Admiral. All defensive positions have been prepared according to the plan." Kang looked around at his officers. Each person had spent years training for this moment. They knew their jobs perfectly. More importantly, they knew how their jobs connected to everyone else's work. "The Xylorians think this will be over quickly," Kang said. "They plan to destroy our fleets, capture our colonies, and force Earth to surrender." "What are our orders, sir?" Park asked. Kang smiled for the first time that day. "We are going to teach them what a real army looks like." He pressed a button on his control panel. Across human space, military units received their orders. Operation Silent Thunder had begun. The plan was complex, but each part was simple. Human intelligence teams would continue watching enemy movements. Special forces would position themselves near critical targets. Engineering units would prepare the battlefield exactly as planned. Fleet commanders would move their ships to predetermined positions. Everything had been calculated. Every possible enemy action had been considered. Backup plans existed for the backup plans. Sir, Kim said quietly. What if they are stronger than we expect? Then we adapt, Kang replied. That is what professionals do. On the screen, the Xylorian fleet continued moving toward human colonies. Their commander, Vexthul, had announced to the entire galaxy that human resistance would be brief and educational. He promised to demonstrate how a superior military force dealt with primitive fighters. Kang watched the enemy ships approach. Soon the galaxy would learn something new. They would discover the difference between soldiers who fought bravely and soldiers who fought professionally. The difference between heroes and an army. Begin Phase 1, Admiral Kang ordered. Across human space, the machine started moving. Major Kim So-young sat in the intelligence center, surrounded by screens showing data from across the galaxy. Her team had been collecting information about the Xylorian Empire for 3 years. Most people thought intelligence work was about stealing secrets. Kim knew it was really about understanding how enemies think. Show me the supply route analysis, she told Lieutenant Choi Min-ho. Choi brought up a 3-dimensional map of space. Green lines showed how the Xylorians moved supplies from their homeworlds to their fleets. They use the same patterns every time, Choi explained. Supply ships travel in groups of 5. They stop at these stations to refuel. They follow these exact paths. Kim studied the display. They never change their routes? Never. Their military handbook probably says this is the most efficient system. And they think efficiency matters more than security. This was typical alien thinking. Most species in the galaxy had never fought a long war. They planned for quick battles where supplies did not matter much. The Xylorians had won every conflict in less than 2 weeks. Why would they worry about protecting supply lines? Captain Lee Hyun-sik appeared on the communication screen from his position near the Xylorian fleet. His special forces team had been hiding in an asteroid field for 6 days. The infiltration is complete, Lee reported. We have monitoring devices on 12 of their capital ships. How did you get past their sensors? Kim asked. We studied their detection systems for 8 months. They look for large metal objects moving fast. They ignore small debris moving slowly. Lee's team had dressed their equipment to look like space rocks. They had spent weeks drifting toward the enemy fleet, moving so slowly that no sensor noticed them. Now they could listen to Xylorian communications and watch their ship movements. What are they saying? Kim wanted to know. They are excited about fighting humans. Their commanders tell stories about our previous battles. They think we just attacked directly without strategy. Kim switched to another communication channel. Colonel Yoon Tae-jun was overseeing the engineering preparations in the contested star systems. How is the battlefield setup progressing? Yoon's image appeared on screen. Behind him, workers in spacesuits were assembling large metal structures. We have installed gravity anchors at all planned positions. The minefields are 70% complete. Satellite networks will be online in 4 hours. The aliens can see what you are building, Kim pointed out. Yes, and they think we are building simple defenses. They do not understand that we are creating 3-dimensional terrain in empty space. This was another thing that aliens did not comprehend. Most species saw space as emptiness where ships flew in straight lines. Humans had learned to fill that emptiness with tools that could change how battles were fought. The gravity anchors could slow down enemy ships or speed up friendly ones. The minefields were not just explosives but also communication relays and sensor boosters. The satellite networks could create false images or jam enemy systems. Choi interrupted the conversation. Major, you need to see this. The Xylorian fleet is beginning their approach. The main display showed hundreds of enemy ships moving toward human colonies. They flew in perfect formation like a parade. Their massive dreadnoughts led the way, followed by smaller cruisers and destroyers. Each ship glowed with energy shields that could stop any normal weapon. They are not even trying to hide, Kim observed. Why would they? Choi said. They have never lost a battle. Kim opened a secure channel to Admiral Kang. Sir, the enemy is moving according to prediction. They are using standard approach formation. Understood. Begin electronic warfare operations. Kim turned to Choi. Start the interference program. Choi's fingers moved quickly across his control panel, beginning selective signal disruption. The Xylorians used bioneural links to coordinate their fleets. Each ship's crew was connected to every other ship through organic computer systems. This allowed them to act like a single huge organism instead of separate vessels, but organic systems could be confused if the right signals were introduced at the right times. Choi began sending carefully crafted interference patterns toward the enemy fleet. The signals were too weak for the Xylorians to notice directly, but they would cause small errors in the bioneural network. Ships would receive slightly wrong information about their neighbors' positions. Navigation systems would make tiny miscalculations. "It's working," Choi reported. "Their formation is becoming less precise." On the display, the perfect Xylorian formation began to show small gaps. Ships that should have been exactly 2 kilometers apart were now 2.1 kilometers apart. Vessels that should have turned at the same moment were turning 3 seconds later than planned. These were tiny changes. The Xylorians probably thought they were having minor technical difficulties. They would not realize their coordination was being systematically degraded. Lieutenant Colonel Park Ji-woo contacted them from the Ground Forces Command Post. "The 1st and 2nd Regiments have completed their positioning. All units understand the tactical sequence." "The what sequence?" Kim asked, though she already knew. "Layered defense with calculated withdrawals. We make them think they are winning while we control where they go and how they fight." Park had studied every battle the Xylorians had ever fought. The aliens expected enemies to defend fixed positions until they were destroyed or forced to surrender. They had never faced an army that used tactical retreats as part of a larger plan. "The aliens will advance and we will fall back," Park continued, "but every step backward will be planned. Every position we abandon will be chosen for maximum enemy casualties. Every retreat will draw them deeper into prepared kill zones." Kim pulled up the ground battle plans. The human defensive positions looked random to outsiders, but each fortification was placed to channel enemy attacks in specific directions. The Xylorians would think they were choosing their own advance routes. Really, they would be walking exactly where humans wanted them to go. "Colonel Yoon," Kim called, "are the orbital platforms ready?" "Affirmative. All weapon systems are online and coordinated with ground forces. We can provide precision fire support at any requested location." The orbital platforms were another innovation most aliens did not understand. Other species use space stations as fixed defensive points. Humans used them as mobile artillery that could strike anywhere on a planet's surface with perfect accuracy. Admiral Kang's voice came through the communication system. "All units, this is Control. The enemy will reach our outer defenses in 6 hours. Remember, we are not just fighting for these 3 worlds. We are teaching the entire galaxy what professional military doctrine means." Kim looked around the intelligence center. Her team continued monitoring enemy communications, tracking supply movements, and analyzing battle data. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The Xylorians thought they were attacking desperate defenders. They had no idea they were walking into the most carefully prepared military operation in galactic history. Soon, they would learn the difference between fighting soldiers and fighting an army. Captain Nam Subin watched the Xylorian fleet through her destroyer sensors. The enemy ships were massive, each one larger than her entire squadron. Their energy shields glowed like small stars. Any normal military would see those ships and feel fear. Nam felt something different. She felt ready. "All ships, this is Eagle Leader," she spoke into her communication system. "Remember, we are not here to win a big battle. We are here to make them dance." Her squadron consisted of 12 destroyers, fast ships with good weapons but thin armor. Against the Xylorian dreadnoughts, they looked like insects attacking elephants. That was exactly what Nam wanted the aliens to think. "Eagle 2, begin your approach," Nam ordered. Commander Park Sung-jun's destroyer moved toward the enemy formation. His ship fired missiles at one of the smaller Xylorian vessels, then immediately turned away. The enemy responded by sending 6 ships to chase him. "Eagle 3, your turn." Another destroyer attacked from a different angle, drawing more enemy ships away from their main formation. Then Eagle 4 attacked from yet another direction. Each human ship struck quickly and retreated immediately. No heroic last stands, no desperate charges, just precise attacks designed to make the Xylorians move in specific ways. "It's working," reported Nam's sensor officer. "They are spreading out to chase our ships." Fleet Commander Vexthul was doing exactly what human intelligence had predicted. He saw the destroyer attacks as desperate harassment. He sent his faster ships to destroy the annoying human vessels while his main force continued toward the colonies. What Vexthal did not realize was that every human ship was equipped with detailed maps, showing exactly where to lead their pursuers. The Xylorian ships chasing them were being guided into carefully prepared positions. On the ground, Lieutenant Colonel Park Ji-woo received reports from her forward observers. 1st Regiment enemy landing craft approaching Sector 7. Park studied her tactical display. Sector 7 was exactly where she wanted the aliens to land. The area looked like good defensive terrain, but it was really a trap. 2nd Regiment, begin withdrawal from Sector 7, Park ordered. Major Lim Dong-wook acknowledged the order. His Marines had been defending prepared positions in Sector 7 for 3 days. Now they would abandon those positions and retreat to new ones. To the Xylorians, this looked like victory. Human forces were running away from superior alien soldiers. Vexthal's ground commander, General Korthovan, ordered an immediate advance to capture the abandoned positions. What the aliens did not see were the thousands of sensors and hidden weapons that human engineers had installed throughout Sector 7. Every building, every hill, every defensive position was monitored and could be targeted by human artillery. Artillery command. This is ground control. Park spoke into her communicator. Enemy forces are occupying Target Zone Alpha. Request precision strike package. High above the planet, the orbital weapon platforms received the coordinates. Computer systems calculated the exact angle and power needed for each shot. Within seconds, invisible beams of energy struck predetermined targets throughout Sector 7. The Xylorians had spread throughout the area, thinking they were capturing human defensive positions. Instead, they found themselves scattered across a killing field where every location had been pre-targeted by orbital weapons. Direct hits on all designated targets, reported the artillery coordinator. Enemy casualties estimated at 60%. But Park was not finished. 3rd Regiment begin counterattack. Route Bravo 7. Colonel Han Mi-kyung's forces had been waiting in concealed positions 3 kilometers away. They advanced along a route that brought them to Sector 7 from an unexpected direction. The surviving Xylorians, confused and disorganized from the orbital bombardment, found themselves under attack by fresh human forces. Meanwhile, in space, Captain Nam continued her mission. Her destroyers had drawn significant portions of the Xylorian fleet away from their main formation. Now the real plan could begin. Control, this is Eagle Leader, Nam reported. Enemy fleet is dispersed according to plan. Request heavy unit deployment. Acknowledged, Eagle Leader. Heavy units are moving to position. Vice Admiral Bae Sung-ho had been waiting with the main human fleet in the shadow of a large asteroid. His ships were older and slower than Nam's destroyers, but they carried much more firepower. While the Xylorians chased fast human ships across the system, Bae positioned his fleet for a coordinated strike. All heavy units, this is Fleet Command, Bae transmitted. Target the scattered enemy formations. Remember? Precision over power. The human heavy cruisers emerged from hiding and began systematic attacks on isolated Xylorian ships. These were not wild charges or desperate assaults. Each attack was carefully timed to catch enemy vessels when they were separated from support. Commander O.J. Sung monitored the battle from his logistics command ship. While the fighting continued, his teams worked to keep every human unit supplied with fuel, ammunition, and spare parts. This was another area where aliens showed their inexperience. Most galactic species expected wars to end quickly. They brought enough supplies for short campaigns and assumed victory would come before resources ran out. The Xylorians had never fought an enemy that could maintain combat operations for weeks or months. Supply status report, O requested. All combat units at full readiness, his aide reported. Ammunition reserves at 85%. Fuel supplies adequate for 30 more days of operations. Medical supplies sufficient for current casualty rates. O nodded with satisfaction. Human military logistics were designed for extended campaigns. Every ship, every ground unit, every orbital platform was part of a supply network that could function even under heavy enemy attack. The Xylorians, meanwhile, were beginning to experience problems. Their bio-neural coordination systems, disrupted by Lieutenant Choi's electronic warfare, were causing communication delays throughout their fleet. Ships that should have been working together were operating independently. On the ground, General Korthovan tried to reorganize his scattered forces. The humans had retreated from 3 more sectors, But each retreat had been followed by devastating artillery strikes on alien units that occupied the abandoned positions. Korthvin was learning that capturing ground from humans was much more expensive than expected. "Sir," his aide reported, "our casualty rate is much higher than projected." "How much higher?" 40% above estimates, and human resistance is not decreasing as predicted. This confused the Xylorian general. Most species fought harder at the beginning of battles and became weaker as casualties mounted. The humans seem to be fighting just as effectively now as they had at the start of the campaign. Back in space, Fleet Commander Vexthal watched his scattered ships trying to regroup. The human destroyer attacks had seemed minor, but they had disrupted his entire formation. Now his ships were spread across the system and the mysterious human heavy units were picking them off one by one. "Communications, contact all ship commanders," Vexthal ordered. "Reform the main battle formation." "Sir, many ships are not responding to coordination signals. Why not?" "Unknown technical difficulties, sir. The bioneural network is experiencing interference." Vexthal stared at his tactical display. For the first time in his military career, a battle was not going according to plan. The humans were not fighting like other species. They were not charging bravely to their deaths or defending positions until they were overwhelmed. Instead, they were fighting like something he had never encountered before. They were fighting like professionals. Fleet Commander Vexthal stared at his tactical display with growing alarm. What had started as a simple conquest was becoming something he did not understand. His ships were scattered across 3 star systems. His ground forces were taking heavy casualties. Most troubling of all, the humans seemed to be controlling every aspect of the battle. "Status report," he demanded from his communications officer. "Sir, 60% of our fleet has been drawn away from the main objectives. Ground forces report that human defensive positions are not where our intelligence indicated. Supply convoys are reporting navigation difficulties." Vexthal's bioneural connection to his fleet felt strange. Information that should have been clear was fuzzy. Orders that should have been transmitted instantly were delayed. It was like trying to think through thick fog. Meanwhile, Admiral Kang De-Ho stood in his command center watching the battle unfold exactly as planned. Every human unit was performing its assigned role with precision. The machine was working perfectly. "Phase 3 is complete, sir," reported Major Kim So-young. "Enemy forces are now positioned exactly where we want them." "Excellent. Begin Phase 4. Kim activated a communication channel that connected to every human commander in the theater. "All units, this is Control. Operation Silent Thunder Phase 4 is now active. Execute primary objectives." Across the battlefield, human forces began to reveal their true capabilities. Captain Song Yun-ji had been waiting with her fighter squadrons in the shadow of a dead moon. For 2 days, she had watched the Xylorian fleet scatter as they chased Captain Nam's destroyers. Now the enemy ships were isolated and vulnerable. "Phoenix Squadron, this is Phoenix Leader," Song transmitted. "Begin precision strikes on designated targets." Her fighters were not trying to destroy the massive Xylorian dreadnoughts. Instead, they targeted specific systems on each enemy ship. Communication arrays, sensor clusters, weapon control centers. Each strike was designed to disable rather than destroy. Direct hit on target alphas. "Communication system," reported Phoenix 2. "Target. Beta's sensors are offline," called Phoenix. "4 target Gamma has lost weapon." "Coordination," confirmed Phoenix 7. The Xylorian ships found themselves blind and unable to communicate with each other. Their powerful weapons became useless when targeting systems failed. Their thick armor meant nothing when they could not see where enemies were attacking from. On the ground, Major Lim Dong-wook's Marines were demonstrating another aspect of human military doctrine that aliens had never encountered. Instead of simply fighting enemy soldiers, they were capturing intact equipment and gathering intelligence. "Boarding Team Alpha has secured a Xylorian command post," Lim reported to Lieutenant Colonel Park. "We have recovered their tactical computers and communication codes." "Excellent. Transfer all data to intelligence immediately." This was something no other galactic species had ever done systematically. When most aliens won battles, they destroyed enemy equipment or ignored it. Humans treated every captured piece of technology as a source of valuable information. Major Kim's intelligence teams began analyzing the captured Xylorian data within minutes. "Sir, we now have their complete fleet deployment plans," she told Admiral Kang. We know the location of every supply depot, the identity of every ship commander, and the status of their reserve forces. Use it, Kang ordered simply. The information allowed human forces to predict exactly what the Xylorians would do next. When Vexthul ordered his scattered ships to regroup at Rally Point 7, human forces were already waiting there. When General Korthvin tried to withdraw his ground forces to Defensive Line Delta, human artillery had already targeted every position along that line. Vice Admiral Bai Seung-ho watched his fleet take perfect positions around the confused enemy forces. All ships, this is Fleet Command. Execute Maneuver Pattern 7. The human fleet, which had seemed scattered and disorganized, suddenly moved with mechanical precision. Ships that had been hiding behind asteroids emerged at exactly the right moment. Vessels that had appeared to be retreating turned and attacked from unexpected angles. Units that the Xylorians had ignored because they seemed unimportant revealed themselves to be carrying the most powerful weapons. "My God," whispered Vexthul's tactical officer. They planned this entire battle before it started. It was true. Every human movement, every retreat, every attack had been part of a single comprehensive plan. The Xylorians had thought they were winning because they were advancing and capturing territory. They had not realized they were being led exactly where the humans wanted them to go. Colonel Han Mi-kyung's planetary defense forces finally revealed the full scope of their preparations. The positions that the Xylorians had captured were not the real human defensive line. They were sacrifice zones, designed to concentrate enemy forces for devastating counterattacks. "Artillery Command, this is ground control," Han transmitted. "All enemy units are now within the primary kill zone. Request maximum firepower on all pre-designated targets." The orbital weapon platforms, which had been providing limited support throughout the battle, now unleashed their full capability. Hundreds of energy beams struck the planet's surface simultaneously, each one hitting a precisely calculated target. The Xylorian ground forces, spread throughout the territory they thought they had conquered, found themselves under attack from directions they had not known existed. Hidden human positions that had remained silent for days suddenly opened fire. Underground bunkers that had been dismissed as abandoned revealed themselves to be fully operational command centers. "Sir," General Korthvin's aide reported with a shaking voice, "our ground forces are surrounded. Every position we captured was a trap." In space, the situation was equally desperate for the aliens. Fleet Commander Vexthul watched his mighty dreadnoughts being systematically disabled by swarms of small human fighters. His ship's powerful shields were useless against precision strikes that targeted specific weak points. "Communications. Order a general retreat," Vexthul commanded. "Sir, most ships cannot receive orders. Their communication systems have been destroyed. Then broadcast on all frequencies. Tell every ship to withdraw immediately." But even this was part of the human plan. Admiral Kang had predicted exactly when the Xylorians would try to retreat. Human forces had positioned themselves along every possible escape route. "Control. This is Eagle Leader," reported Captain Nam. "Enemy ships are attempting to flee through Corridor 5. Acknowledged, Eagle Leader. Interceptor groups are moving to block all escape routes." The Xylorians discovered that they could not retreat any more easily than they had been able to advance. Every path away from the battle led through human positions. Every attempt to regroup was met by precisely timed attacks that scattered their formations again. Lieutenant Colonel Park Ji-woo contacted Admiral Kang from her ground command post. "Sir, enemy ground forces are requesting surrender terms. What about their fleet?" "Fleet Commander Vexthul has just transmitted an unconditional surrender offer." Admiral Kang looked around his command center. Every officer was performing their duties with calm professionalism. No one was celebrating. No one was showing excitement. They had executed a complex military operation exactly as planned, and now they would execute the post-victory operations with the same precision. "Accept their surrender," Kang ordered. "Begin humanitarian operations immediately. All enemy wounded are to receive medical care. All prisoners are to be processed according to standard protocols." Major Kim opened a new communication channel. "Medical Corps, this is Control. Begin casualty treatment operations. All species, all sides." The galaxy was about to learn that human military professionalism extended beyond just winning battles. It included everything that happened after victory as well. Captain Kwon Yun-ho arrived at the first Xylorian medical station 6 hours after the surrender. His medical teams carried supplies for treating wounded soldiers of any species. The alien doctors looked confused when humans began helping their patients. "Why are you treating our wounded?" asked Dr. Vorthtek, the Xylorian chief medical officer. "Because they are wounded," Quan replied simply. "Military medical doctrine requires us to care for all casualties regardless of which side they fought on." This was the first shock for the surrendered aliens. They had expected human victors to be brutal or vengeful. Instead, human medics worked alongside alien doctors to save lives. Human surgeons operated on Xylorian soldiers with the same care they gave their own people. News reporters from across the galaxy watched in amazement as human soldiers shared their food with hungry alien prisoners. The footage showed disciplined troops maintaining perfect military order while showing kindness to their former enemies. "This is unprecedented," reported Gental Vex from Galactic News Network. "Human forces have achieved total victory, but are treating defeated enemies like honored guests." Lieutenant Colonel Shinbo Ram supervised the reconstruction efforts on the liberated colonies. Her civil affairs unit had prepared detailed plans for rebuilding damaged infrastructure. Within days of the battle's end, power plants were running, communication networks were restored, and supply lines were operating normally. "How did you prepare so quickly?" asked Governor Hymuth of Kepler Colony. "We planned for victory from the beginning," Shin explained. "Professional military forces do not just break things, we build them too." The alien governor looked at the human reconstruction teams with wonder. These soldiers could design power plants, repair communication systems, and organize supply networks with the same skill they had shown in battle. They were not just fighters. They were engineers, doctors, teachers, and administrators who happened to wear military uniforms. Major Young Hai Wan faced the most difficult task of all. His public affairs division had to explain human military doctrine to a galaxy that had never seen anything like it. The key difference, Young told the assembled galactic media, is that humans do not see war as an end in itself. War is a tool for achieving political objectives. Everything we do is designed to create lasting peace. A reporter from the Altarian Council raised his hand. "But your military performance was far superior to anything we have seen before. How did you achieve such coordination?" "Training, planning, and discipline," Young answered. "Every human soldier knows not just their own job, but how their job supports the overall mission. We spend years preparing for conflicts we hope will never happen. Your electronic warfare capabilities disabled our bioneural networks," said a Xylorian journalist. "How long have you been developing these techniques?" "Several decades. But the real advantage was not the technology. It was understanding how your systems worked and planning countermeasures in advance." Fleet Commander Vextel, now a prisoner but treated with respect according to human military protocol, requested a meeting with Admiral Kang. The two commanders met in a simple conference room aboard a human cruiser. "I need to understand," Vextel said. "How did you predict our every move?" Admiral Kang poured tea for both of them before answering. "We studied your previous battles for years. We learned your tactics, your decision-making patterns, your strengths and weaknesses. Then we created plans that would counter everything you might do. But your forces seemed chaotic at first. Your ships retreated. Your ground forces abandoned positions. Controlled retreats are a basic military tactic. We withdrew from positions we wanted you to occupy. Every step backward was planned to draw you deeper into prepared kill zones." Vexithul shook his head in amazement. "Your entire military thinks like a single organism. That is professional military doctrine. Individual heroics are impressive, but coordinated operations win wars." The former Xylorian commander leaned forward. "Teach us." This request was repeated across the galaxy. Within weeks of the battle, 17 different species requested human military advisors. They did not want to learn how to fight more aggressively. They wanted to learn how to fight more professionally. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session to discuss the implications of human military capabilities. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered to hear Admiral Kang explain the principles of professional warfare. "Most species in this galaxy see military force as organized violence," Kang told the assembly. "Humans see it as organized problem-solving. We use violence, but only as precisely as necessary to achieve our objectives." "What are those objectives?" asked Counselor Vashiti of the Meridian Alliance. "Peace, stability, and protection of civilian populations. Everything else is secondary." "Even victory?" Victory is meaningless if it does not lead to lasting peace. Professional armies win wars in order to prevent future wars. The council members looked at each other with new understanding. They had spent centuries building military forces designed to destroy enemies. Humans had built military forces designed to solve political problems. You planned not just for the battle, but for everything that would happen after the battle, observed Councillor Threnok. Correct. Military operations must include post-conflict stability operations, humanitarian assistance, and reconstruction efforts. Otherwise, victory becomes meaningless. Dr. Elsa Hoffman, the galaxy's leading military historian, was granted access to human operational records. Her analysis would be studied for generations. The humans did something remarkable, she wrote in her report. They turned war into a science while maintaining its ethical foundations. Their victory was not just tactical or strategic. It was moral. Captain Lee Hyun-sik's special operations teams were particularly studied by alien military analysts. How did you infiltrate so completely without being detected? Asked General Morthak of the Centauri Defense Force. Patience and planning, Lee replied. We studied your detection systems for months. We learned to move in ways your sensors could not recognize. We became invisible not through technology but through understanding. And your intelligence network? We collected information openly. Most of what we needed was publicly available. We simply analyzed it more carefully than anyone expected. The final surprise came when Admiral Kang announced that all human military records from the conflict would be made available to galactic military schools. Battle plans, tactical analyses, operational procedures, even failure reports would be shared freely. Why would you give away your advantages? Asked the Xylorian military attaché. Because professional militaries exist to prevent wars, not win them, Kang explained. If sharing our knowledge helps other species develop professional military doctrine, there will be fewer conflicts in the galaxy. And if we use this knowledge against humans in future conflicts? Admiral Kang smiled. Then we will develop new techniques and share those as well. The goal is not human military superiority. The goal is galactic peace through professional military standards. 3 months after the battle, the Galactic Military Academy was established with Admiral Kang as its first commandant. Students from across the galaxy came to learn human military doctrine. They studied logistics, intelligence analysis, coordinated operations, and post-conflict reconstruction. Most importantly, they learned that the purpose of professional military forces was not to fight wars, but to prevent them through strength, preparation, and ethical conduct. The galaxy had learned what a human professional army truly was. It was not just soldiers who could win battles. It was an organization dedicated to creating and maintaining peace through disciplined, coordinated, and moral application of military power. The age of chaotic warfare was ending. The age of professional military doctrine had begun.